Hey everyone, welcome to the Be Bold, Make Waves podcast. If you're looking for strategy, systems, list building, and marketing tips to help grow and scale your business with ease, then you are in the right place. I'm your host, Laura Colmark, an email marketing and tech strategist who works with coaches and consultants who love their work, but not the tech. Join me for conversation packed with actionable insights, strategies, and systems to help you take control of your tech and simplify your business. Let's go ahead and dive into this week's episode. Hello and welcome to this week's show. For those of you who don't already know me, I'm Laura Colmark, evergreen email strategy, systems, and setups for coaches and consultants who love their work, but not their tech. So my guest today, this is so fun for me because Shannon Mattern is actually the first podcast episode I was ever on as a guest. She was one of my first clients back in forever, and we worked together for over 4 years. And she was also, I think, the first person I ever bought a course from back in 2016, a program of some sort. Anyway, so my guest today is Shannon Mattern. Shannon is the founder of the Web Designer Academy, which provides strategic business marketing and sales coaching for women web designers. She's also the host of the Profitable Web Designer podcast, your go-to resource for mindset and mentorship to help you create a more profitable, sustainable, and fulfilling web design business. Shannon, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Can you tell our listeners a little bit more about how you're helping your clients?
Laura, thank you so much for having me. It is an honor to be here on your show. I'm so excited to get to talk to you today. So yeah, we help, like you said, we help women web designers actually build the skill of running a business. So what I found on my journey and in the hundreds, if not thousands of web designers that I've talked to now along the way is that we put a lot of time into learning our craft, learning the skills, learning the tech, learning the strategy to be able to serve our clients at a really high level. But we don't put that same amount of time, effort, and skill into learning how to market ourselves, sell projects, price, run projects, all of those things. And so it's just a really big gap that I've found in that freelancers need help with in order to actually make the business not just work, but make it not like a grind and make it not make it fun and make it support their life instead of it kind of sucking the life out of them.
Yeah, I know one of the things that I feel like I've gotten, because I joined the program at the very beginning where it was a very different program and then have stayed with the program over the years, over the different iterations. And something that I really has always stuck with me was creating boundaries. Can you talk a little bit about how you help your clients when it comes to boundary setting with their clients?
Yeah. So back, when I first started working with one-on-one web design clients, I just thought that oh, hey, these people are paying me money. They've hired me to do something. Now I have to do whatever they want, whenever they want, at whatever, on whatever schedule they have to keep them as a client. And what I didn't realize at the time is that I had brought with me the same mindset that I had at my day job. Oh, I have to follow the rules and do what my boss says and get these things done by these arbitrary deadlines set by someone else in order to keep my job and keep getting paid. And I figured out the hard way, I would say, that that it's not sustainable to not only let one client run the show when it comes to your business, but once you start getting multiple clients, it makes it even harder to keep everyone happy and jump when they say jump. And it's not even about meeting their deadlines. It's almost always about dealing with their extensions and them not being ready and not getting stuff to you on time and all of the challenges that business owners go through. They're biting off more than they can chew and all of those things. And so I really learned the hard way that I'm like, oh, the only one that can change this is me. And I actually do get to decide what this looks like. And I do get to communicate that to my clients. And 99.9% of my clients were awesome people. They just needed me to lead them.
Yeah.
They just needed me to like run the show and tell them what to do. Otherwise, they were kind of left to their own devices. So that's where the concept of like setting boundaries came in, when I realized like, oh, I have to do this differently if this is going to actually work.
Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, the thing that I have found is like what you were just saying, clients don't know what they don't know. They don't know when we sign on a project with them. They don't know exactly what, like, now what happens. So we have to tell them, here's your next steps. Here's what I need from you. And I got to the point where I was so specific on here is every detailed little thing that I need from you. And here is the deadline I need it by. And what I do with projects now is I go back to the clients and we'll give them the updates and say, okay, I've received these things. Here's the outstanding items I still need from you. And I hear from some people, they're like, oh, I don't want to bug them and this and that. I'm like, everyone's busy. Like they need this project done. Whether for me, it's a website project or an evergreen email sequence project. They want this done, but it is not their top priority. They're running their business as their top priority. So when they hire me, they're part of what they're hiring me to do is keep them on track and be on them like crazy so that I can get my piece done because otherwise it turns into, what do you call them? Zombie projects, I believe. Zombie clients.
Yes. Zombie projects and zombie clients. And, just in knowing you and working with you over the years, it like what you do for your clients in terms of that is like such a gift, right? Like we think of it as like, oh, we're micromanaging our clients or we are babysitting them or whatever. But it truly is like when someone has thought ahead of
Mhm.
all of the things that you're going to need to do, and then just like hands you a list and
Mhm.
is like, here's what I need by when. Like, what a gift. All of these decisions have been made for me. I don't have to think about it. I know exactly what's going to happen. I know that if I have questions about something that you've asked me for, that you'll clarify that for me. And it just takes the mental load off. I mean, you think of like how much this client is like investing in terms of time, money, and trust in working with you. And when you are like handing them that list is like, I got you. I've got this. You are going to be so well taken care of. I've thought ahead about everything. And if you can think about like setting boundaries in that way, it just changes the whole tone of like how you feel when you go to do it.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. I want to talk a little bit about this idea that you I know talk about a lot in the program with mind trash and sort of the things that come up for your clients and that we're all dealing with as service providers in the online space especially. I know I hear it all the times from friends. I know I get blocked all the time and have it come up. Can you tell the audience a little bit about this whole mind trash idea?
Yeah, I mean, I get it too, right? So we talk about mindset all the time and like, you know, the things you think drive how you feel and how you feel drive your actions and how you drive your like the actions you take create your results, right? And so I remember I was doing a podcast interview with a woman named Jasmine Haley and we were talking about this and she had like said the concept mind trash and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is exactly what this is." And so I think of mind trash as like thoughts that create unwanted results for you. And so, when you're thinking things like, um, I can't charge that much because it's not, I'm self-taught. That's like such a common one. And I know it's really common in like the web design space, but I'm guessing it's common in any kind of service provider space or coaching space. Like imagine if your coach is like, well, I can't charge that much because I don't have a certification in this specific coaching modality. But like, meanwhile, this person has so much life experience or maybe a career experience or maybe they did this at their day job and they were paid really well to do it, but they're not quote unquote certified or don't have a degree in it, right? And so that is one of that thought creates feelings of inadequacy, imposter syndrome, whatever. And when you feel that way, what do you do or not do? You don't market yourself. You keep your prices low. You, say yes to extra requests because you feel like you have to like make up for this like perceived lack. And that creates an unwanted result of overworking, not making enough money, and generally just like kind of feeling bad about like what you're doing, and it feels hard. And so that's what I consider to be mind trash, is like any thought that you're having that creates an unwanted result. And the truth is that you can decide to believe something different. It just takes a decision. I know it sounds super simple. In practice, it's not as easy as it sounds. But when you decide to think something differently or believe something different, then you can start to create wanted results in your business, like charging more, like saying no, like setting boundaries, like actually liking what you do.
Oh, so good. I love it so much. I know that that is something that comes up all the time in the program. I'm actually in your next level program. Can you talk a little bit with our audience about what next level is and how you help your clients in there? Because you have Web Designer Academy and then next level.
Yeah. So, Web Designer Academy is basically like mechanics and strategy and systems and processes and templates and tools. And, we're like, okay, we're going to teach you the skill of running the business side of your web design business. And we also know that as you go to implement that skill, you are going to have mind trash come up, because we're going to be teaching you to think in ways that you've never thought before. We're going to ask you to do things that you've never done before. And we 1,000% expect your mind trash to come up, and we coach you through that all along the way. Next level is different in that, like, okay, once you have implemented, like, you have systems, processes, and boundaries in your business, whether you learn them with the Web Designer Academy or you've done them, you've built them yourself, you've learned them from other programs, and you have like reached this kind of like level of like, okay, like I feel like I know what I'm doing. I've got systems and processes down, but why does this still feel terrible? Why is it that I, want to like create more money or create more time, but I just can't seem to figure out how, or I feel really stuck, or I feel like, yes, I've like maybe reached success financially, but like things feel like they're falling apart around me, maybe in my business or my life. Or on the flip side, you're like, I feel like I should be making more than I am right now. Like I've been doing this for a long time, but I just kind of feel like stuck in certain areas. And so where next level comes in is kind of like the ultimate like, I don't want mind trash cleaner upper. I don't know how to really say that, but like what we know is that it's not a systems and process. Like when you've gotten to that point, it's not a systems and process problem. It's not a strategy. There's no system that you're missing. All of the things that anybody out there is teaching will work. It's usually something deeper than that. It's like a core belief that's causing you to think certain things. Like, for example, we have people that are like, well, I'm already charging this much. I couldn't possibly charge more. And while that sounds true, like that's just a thought, right? Or more often they're like, okay, the thing I think that I need to actually do to create the business that I want to create doesn't align with how I actually want to live my life. So if I build the business that I logically want, it's actually going to conflict with my core needs as a human, as like a mom, wife, sister, whatever your role is. And so you're stuck there. Or you would just have some things that never actually got revealed in the process of implementing systems, processes, and strategies that's like kind of underneath running the show. And so what we do in Next Level is we like help you just get really clear on what your vision is. If there was nothing in the way and you could have it all, what would that look like? What are you doing today? And how is that like aligned with what you want and what's in conflict? What do you really need to do to create what you want? Is it what you think it is, or is it what everyone else is telling you that how it should look? How do you get focused in on that? And then once you're really clear on all that, what's stopping you from doing that thing? Because you would have been doing that thing already if it felt safe for you to do that thing. So we help you create some safety around that. And then we just help you implement whatever needs to be implemented to create that. And so it looks different for everybody because everybody comes into Next Level with a different life, a different family situation, a different business, different goals. And no two people's path looks the same, but the process of figuring out what your path looks like is the same. So I don't know if that all made sense, but that's the difference between like Next Level and just like, oh, I'm going to teach you some systems, processes, and strategies that you can implement in your business to go make some more money.
I think it made perfect sense, but I also have an inside view of it because I've been in Next Level for the last few years since it was first implemented. And
Yeah.
I would say that Next Level is definitely more of like a smaller mastermind, close-knit little family that we've created where, when you have the mind trash that comes up, when you have the imposter syndrome that comes up, when you're having just one of those days where you want to burn it all down to the ground and you go, and just having a supportive, really tight knit group help lift you up and kind of work you through why are we feeling that way.
Well, yeah. And I think it's like you have 12 or 15 other people. I can't remember exactly how many people are in there right now who know who you really are on the days that you don't feel like you're that person. They know who you are. They know how powerful you are. They know how amazing you are. They know what you really want. They know what gets in your way, and they're going to remind you of who you really are on the days that you don't feel like it. And they're going to like ask you questions in like the most compassionate way to help you remember who you really are. And it's a really unique thing that you meet strangers who all are kind of on the same path, who barely know you, but yet know you almost sometimes better than like your closest friends, because building a business can be really vulnerable and challenging. And if you think it's just about business, it's usually about way more than business, as I have found over the past year. And you need people who are in your corner supporting you that. And sometimes it's easier to talk about stuff to people that don't know you very well or that you're not going to see at Thanksgiving, right?
Well, and they get it because that's the other thing. We're all building businesses together. I know I have a lot of friends in real life. They have no idea what I do. I mean, my husband's just finally starting to figure out that I don't do social media or SEO. Like for a there was one time I was sitting in the car and he was explaining to someone on the phone. He's like, "Oh, my wife does." I'm like, "I don't do any of that." He was like, "Oh yeah, she works with developers and they develop apps." I'm like, "No, I don't. That's not what I do."
My husband said to me the other day, he's like, "You would be so proud of me because someone asked me what my wife does. And I told them that she's a business coach for web designers." And I was like, "I am so proud of you. Like, this has been like a thing for a long time." That he's like, "I'm not really sure what she does. I think she might be a web designer." Like,
There's these
and
other
this
people.
is, yeah, I mean, like, so I can talk to him about stuff going on in my business. And he is very like, he listens and he's very compassionate, but he does not really get it because he's like, he wants to be an employee forever. That's what he wants. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So good. I want to talk a little bit about some of the mindset struggles that you've encountered in your journey because, the thing it's not always talked about. Everyone looks at Instagram. Oh, I want to touch on that too. We'll come back to Instagram. Um, but Instagram, everything looks so shiny and beautiful, and it's not really talked about some of the struggles. So, what would you say is like one of your biggest mindset hurdles you've crossed since you've started this journey?
Oh my gosh, there are so many, but the one that just really popped into my mind when you asked me that was like the it's all on me.
Mm.
And there's this like version of me that is like will not rely on anybody else for anything. And um and this mind trash thing that it's all on me, I'm responsible for all of it, sounds on like it's all on me doesn't sound great, but like I can spin it in my mind of like, oh, I'm superwoman, I can do anything, I can figure anything out. And uh it keeps me small. Like it sounds really powerful, but it keeps me small because it keeps me from seeking outside advice, perspectives, help. Um, and when like I can't see all my own stuff, like I have blind spots. I get stuck. I reach plateaus. I have errors in my thinking. I have mind trash. And when I think it's all on me, I don't put myself in containers, groups, relationships that are going to and then allow myself to even ask for help or say I'm struggling, to even have someone say, "Hey, like here's where I think this might be going wrong for you, or here's an opportunity that I see for you." And so while it's all on me and I'm like so resilient and I can handle anything and I can figure anything out, like I can only get so far with that. And I think that that's like the one that jumps out at me as like something that I will always be continually working on.
Yeah, absolutely. I know one of the things that really changed my business was when I started investing in coaching,
Yeah.
not just courses, but actually in coaching programs, coaching and mentorship programs. And that was huge for me because they're big investments, but the support that you get and an outside perspective looking in and giving you really actionable advice has been just huge for my business in the past, 5 years. So it's so important, I think, for us to take the time to find the right people to work with that really can see our business and people we look up to, people who we want our business to go the direction their business is going.
Yeah. And I think, there's such a huge difference between like a course and a self study thing. And here's like how to implement this thing, and actually having someone say, here's I gave you the strategy. I see how you tried to implement it, but you like did X, Y, and Z or whatever. And whenever like whenever I've gotten actual feedback, guidance, and direction from an actual like human and not myself from watching videos or reading something or doing worksheets or whatever, it's all of the difference in the world. And I think too that whole it's all on me thing would have me choose the self-study option over the coach who's just gonna like look and be like, here's what you can do differently. And I think it's a self-protection thing too, because you open yourself up to being vulnerable to receive feedback that maybe you're like, that's gonna like hurt your ego or
Mhm.
whatever. Or you are like, I'm gonna put money on the line, and what are people gonna think of me if, or what, people close to me, aka my husband, what's he going to think if I spend money on this and it doesn't work out? And now I've harmed us and harmed our family. So I have, and you can tie all of that behavior back to like this one core thought or belief of it's all on me. And so when you look at those things of like, Oh, like if you could figure out what your thing is that you think that just gets in your way all over the place in like little different ways, and become aware of it and notice when it's popping up and shifting it, it makes the biggest difference. And you can't do it through your own, like from your own mind, right? Like you can't see your own stuff. I can't see my own stuff.
I know for me, for a long time, I really struggled showing up and being visible. And I had this huge block with emailing my list. And I worked with Alicia St. Germain, who's been on the
Mm-hmm.
podcast, who is one of your closest friends, who you introduced into my world. And she helped me as a mindset coach. She helped work through this whole visibility thing. And now I have a podcast.
Yeah, and it's she's like a guest coach in our program, and we use her process of uncovering what those things are um in our coaching to be able to get to the core of like, they say like what's the root? Like what is that root belief that just shows up in so many ways that when you can't like you can't ever, I don't know that you can ever get rid of it. I think it's always there. But I think when you're aware of it, it has a lot less power and you can make different choices. And it's not just like running the show for you constantly. And yeah, like Alicia is, and she's incredible.
That just what you were saying popped into my head, a quote from, which I'm going to butcher it, but it was we'll go with idea over quote from Big Magic by Liz Gilbert, where she talked about fear. You can come along for the ride. You cannot sit in the front seat. You better get in the back, but fear will be with you because you can't get rid of fear, but you can learn how to work through the fear and keep moving forward.
Yeah. And I think the best way to do that, that I found for myself, is to let other people know that I'm scared and ask them to be there for me in whatever way they can.
Oh, so good. I want to talk a little bit about how you market your business. In this online world that we live in, where there's all these different ideas of being in all the different social media platforms, something that's I've always been really impressed with is there is one form of marketing that you've always really held on strong to, and kind of been able to put the blinders on and avoid some of the other noise. So can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Like if you go and look at my Instagram, you'll be like, this person is not legit. If that's a way you measure legitimacy, is by looking at other businesses' Instagrams and how much they post and how many followers they have, you'll go look at mine and be like, yeah, she's not legit. But that's not where I spend any time because it just doesn't feel easy and natural to me. But what does is meeting other really cool people who serve my audience in an adjacent way or a different way, or maybe even in the exact same way, and collaborating with them, building a relationship with them, and seeing. I always go first in asking like, how can I support you, and how can I promote you, how can we collaborate together, how can I serve your audience. And then usually there's some like reciprocity that happens once you build. Like I just go first to find the people, intentionally meet them, intentionally reach out, intentionally build the relationship, figure out how I can help them, offer to help them, and then usually, and help them could be a podcast interview. It could be, there's so many different ways. And then usually they're like, this was awesome. How can I support you? And I'm very specific about how they can support me. And then it leads to like really cool relationships and fun things and interesting conversations, and it's platform agnostic. I think that's what I love the most about it, is that like regardless of what the next hot thing is, like just getting to know a person is always going to be, I think, always going to be available. I shouldn't say that, but I think it will be.
Just start having robots come on the podcast.
Who knows what's going to happen? But I also kind of think in like, I use Chat GPT. I love it. I think it's an incredible tool. It helps me when I get writer's block and just different things, but I just don't see. I think it makes like real conversations and interactions like all the more interesting and valuable.
I think so too. What other AI tools are you using and finding and loving?
So I just started playing with Cast Magic.
Love cast.
I think I heard of it from your friend Dara, Dara Sklar.
Mhm.
I think maybe it was someone else. It might not have been her. Um, but yeah, so when I record a podcast episode, I just drop the audio file in there and it generates all of the content I need to promote it. I had tried to create my own GPT to do that for me, and my GPT did a pretty good job, but not nearly as good of a job as Cast Magic is doing. So I think I'm going to abandon my own creation for Cast Magic. But I mean, what a huge time saver. Um, and then we're exploring like some other cool ways to use AI to help with like um we haven't quite gotten there yet, but I'm real excited to like test it out. Like we teach a specific way to like package price and position offers. And I'm like, what if we could have a GPT that like created that for our students?
Mhm.
Because it's probably the most time intensive asset that they create inside of our program. So we're looking at like how can we leverage AI to speed things up for our students. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think Cast Magic's like the biggest one for me. Or like Chat GPT, like give me 10 subject lines for this email that are going to get people to open, that are fun and, whatever. So I don't have to try to think of them.
I found Cast Magic a couple of years ago, I think, on an AppSumo deal, and someone else had, I think it was Jackie Money. She's been on the podcast as well. I'll link her below in the show notes. She's fun. Jackie, I think, was the one that told me about it. And so I went and got it. And I am so excited with the direction it's gone because they've added so many more features since I first got it when it was first really just for podcasting. And now you can upload all sorts of other um, recordings to it as well. It doesn't just meant for podcasting. And I use it for my transcripts. That was the
Yeah.
main reason I got it because I needed a transcripting tool and I didn't, Descript, just for some reason, Descript didn't work for my brain. So I love
Yeah.
Cast Magic for sure.
I was using like so many different things because there's a lot of moving parts to producing a podcast. And I was just using a lot of different tools and um yeah, so I'm definitely like late to you always find all the deals. Like you find the tools early, you find the deals. You're like always an early adopter. I love it. I'm like late to the game. I'm like, I wish I would have known about this 2 years ago when I launched my podcast.
Right? That's funny. I don't think of myself that way, but you're right. I do. I like finding deals on things. And even though I'm still like, I don't use ChatGPT as much as I probably could, I've spent a lot of time trying to create custom GPTs and then things change and update. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, I feel like I just spent a week working on this and I'm still not getting, I could have spent that time doing something else.
Yeah, I feel like I it's a skill that I don't know. I think it's a skill I can develop. I know people who are like really good at just getting Chat GPT to do what they want it to do. And I'm like, maybe I should just hire those people instead of trying to do it myself.
I, hmm. I have found a lot of my friends who are really, really good at conversing back and forth with ChatGPT are the former teachers who are now entrepreneurs.
Interesting.
And so, and my understanding from when I've quizzed them on this and why they're so good is because when they get as teachers, they would have to give feedback in a constructive way that was also, so they know how to give it feedback. I'm like, I don't know how to give this thing feedback. Just make it better. This is horrible. But
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
not
like,
good
give
at
me five
identifying.
more and make them funny. Like, but yeah. And then I'm like, you just gave me five more of the same kind of thing. Yeah. I think you're onto something because I think teachers must have that skill and probably don't even realize that like that's why they are Chat GPT whisperers.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. We are getting close to our time, which is crazy because that just flew by and I could talk to you all day long. I do have one question that I ask everyone who comes on the podcast, and that is, what is one piece of advice you would give someone when they are growing and scaling their business that would help them be bolder, be louder, and make waves?
Oh, that is such a good question. That would help them be bolder, be louder, and make waves. I would say that if you can make your marketing, your offers, your sales all about the client and how you can help them reach their goals and take that focus off of yourself, take that pressure off of yourself, I think it can help you show up in a bolder way. So I always say like marketing is not about you, because I think one of the things that like business owners kind of get stuck in is like, you know, making sure that they are presenting themselves in a certain way. And it's like if you weren't even thinking about how you were presenting yourself and you were thinking about who you were serving and how you could best serve them and what they needed to know to make the decision for themselves one way or the other, I think it would like help you just say what you wanted to say so much easier. And it's a bold move to tell somebody like, yeah, I think I can help you. I would love to help you. Here's exactly how I can help you. Would you like to work together? And you didn't even have to say anything about you or how you learned or how, all of the things that hold us back and make us think we're not good enough. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I love that so much, and I think that's fantastic advice. Shannon, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Can you tell our listeners where they can come find you, hang out with you, learn more about you and your programs?
Yeah, webdesigneracademy.com is the best place to find me. If you are a web designer, we have a free course to help you stop undercharging and over delivering. You can go to webdesigneracademy.com/free course. If you want to learn more about our next level mastermind, you can just go to webdesigneracademy/next-level-mastermind. I need a better URL for that, but for now, that's what it is. And then our podcast is The Profitable Web Designer. You can find that anywhere you listen to podcasts. And you can follow me on Instagram at Profitable Web Designer. If you DM me, I will respond, but I wouldn't expect to see tons of content there anytime soon.
Wonderful. I will link all that up in the show notes. Thank you so much. This was such a fun conversation.
Thank you, Laura, so much for having me.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to check out the show notes at lauracomark.com/podcast. And if you're ready to get more sales without more work, save time so you can focus on the work that you do love, and automate and simplify the back end of your business, grab my free resource, How to Get More Sales from Your Email List on Autopilot. Head on over to lauracomark.com/email. And don't forget to follow the show and leave a review in your favorite podcast app. It helps get this show in front of other business owners who want to grow and scale with ease. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye now.